They're both great guys. And I'll start with Ben in particular. Um, you know, I got down here last year and I had a few meetings with Ben, on what his decision was going to be, whether he was going to put his name in the draft and things of that nature. You know, and I got the sense when I talked to him, he didn't want to do that. He was hungry to come back and improve his position in the draft. And he and I just sat down and kind of mapped out a plan and on how he could do that. And I'll give him credit. He's a super diligent guy. This is a guy that he doesn't come with many extras. He's kind of keeps to himself and doesn't have a big group of people he runs with. And, he really has immersed himself in the process of becoming a great basketball player. And he's a guy that, we never had to set up extra workout times for or anything like that. He's a self-starter and extremely motivated. And I think his best days are ahead of him. I really still look at Ben as a young basketball player. Obviously he had a tremendous season and made a huge jump and was, vital to our success. But I just think, when I first saw Ben, it probably would have been about 4 years ago now at the NBA Academy of Mexico City. I was down there recruiting one of his teammates who was on our team now, Umar Ballo. And at the time, I would have described him as athletic, but physically undeveloped, undersized, unskilled four-man. And, and somehow between, then and when I got here, he kind of had picked up a knack for shooting, and you could see that he had a really good wrist and an ability to make jump shots. And then this year we really challenged him to grow in other areas of the game, his ball handling, decision-making, IQ. And so I think he's just starting that, that part of his development, which is exciting. This is a guy that has tons of room to grow. And, I think that he'll be able to reach that ceiling just based on his character. And it's a guy that loves to work and he's driven. And, I don't think Ben's a guy, at least from my experience, that was trying to load manage or do any of that stuff. He's not trying to protect anything. Ben's going for stuff, which I think is super important. He's in attack mode and I think you guys got a hungry guy. He's a guy that I'm pretty confident, once he gets there, he's not going to feel like he's arrived. I think he's going to feel like he has to continue to prove to himself and to others that he belongs at that level. And I think that's the kind of hunger and desire you need. And I think Ben has that in spades. Like how I approach it with guys like Ben, I always tell him, like, listen, I can't tell you everything you need to do to be a ready-made NBA player, but what I can tell you to do is how to be great at Arizona. And if you're great at Arizona, then you're going to get an opportunity to go into the NBA, hopefully as, a high draft pick. And so, I think that's going to be up for Ben and his coach to decide. I think he's going to be an interesting guy. I think this is a guy that, he really had emphasized and wanted to develop his ability to drive the basketball and handle the basketball this year and make decisions. So, we really focused on that area. I know there were times where I was, on Ben to hunt more catch and shoot shots. I think, Ben's it's going to be really interesting to see his development. Does he become more comfortable handling the ball and, being a, multiple dribble, multiple direction guy? Or is this guy, gonna kind of slide into more of a catch and shoot, drive closeout type guy? And I think both of them are great. I think to me, that's what excites me about him. This isn't a guy that necessarily is going to need to dominate the ball to be a great NBA player. But I saw enough growth in that area this year that if he continues to work on that stuff, he could become that type of player. I think he, certainly at the offensive end has some ready-made things that will allow him, if he locks into what coach wants and, learns the system, I think he'll be able to contribute, earlier rather than later. We had some tough moments early in the season and even throughout the season, you get in tough games, it happens. And Ben was great in those huddles. And not only, sometimes guys say things in those huddles and they go out and they're not able to back it up. Ben, was on the guys in the huddles, was great, was focused about, the task at hand. And then he went out and he made huge clutch plays. So, I think Ben definitely, has that clutch gene and, with continued, development, maybe that can become one of his calling cards. we called his number at tough moments. And, even, not even into the game scenarios. Maybe, I remember in the UCLA game in the, conference championship, we called a couple actions for him to run off a baseline screen. And I mean, I want to think it was great play design, but the way he rose up and stuck the jump shot, I think I'm going to err on the side. It was all him making a great play. So, but that's something. I mean, those are things, you come out of a timeout and that player knows, that there's a good chance they're going to get a look, and to have the wherewithal to knock it down in those moments is, it's a huge deal for a young player. And, that doesn't surprise me that he called his own number. I don't know if I would use confidence and bravado. I think I would put it more in the category is conviction and fuel to the fire. I think as you guys get to know Ben, he's a great guy. He's not gregarious. He's not over the top. He's not trying to draw attention to himself. But I think internally there's a fire that really burns in there, and Chad Buchanan and I were talking about that last night. And I think that's one of the things that really attracted them to Ben, is that they feel like there's an inferno burning inside that kid. And I would agree with that, and hopefully he's able to continue to tap into that and harness that. And, I think if he is, I think we could be looking at a really, really good NBA player. Andrew's, he's a kid I recruited in high school, and he turned us down. And then, when he decided to transfer, we were lucky enough to get him the second time around at Gonzaga. And this is a special guy. I think people forget, because of COVID and everything that happened with transfers and eligibility, Andrew transferred to Gonzaga with the intent of redshirting. That was 100% the deal. And then all these COVID waivers started happening. And, here we were with a really good player who could be instantly eligible. But just to let you know about Andrew, how good of a teammate he is, he was a little apprehensive at first because it kind of broke from the plan. And he wanted to make sure if he was going to play that all his teammates were okay with that. And, that he wasn't stepping on anybody's toes. So, this guy is a mature game. He's a guy that I think that people are going to be really impressed with. He has an ability to play with really good players and make the game easier for them. And he just kind of has that strength to kind of allow everybody to be put in positions to do what they do best. So, I'm glad he's getting the recognition he deserves. And, I knew, from the day I saw him in high school that this guy was a legitimate NBA player, and now he gets the opportunity to go out and do it.